My boyfriend excluded me from the trip we planned to Europe to go with his best friend. What he doesn't know is that I'm going anyway. Well, turns out, yes guys, I've had a boyfriend for a few years. The truth is, we never had problems, we never fought. And when we did argue, it was always about his best friend. They met in college, and honestly, she's a parasite. A parasite. She's everywhere, in every plan. She's never invited, but she's always present. Literally, she tags along with everything we plan. She's even joined us on dates meant for just the two of us. No, I was this close to reaching my limit. But I didn't, because I didn't want to be that typical girlfriend who can't accept her boyfriend's female friends, you know? Like, that's outdated, girls. Our boyfriends shouldn't have female friends. That's just how it is. We've seen it proven in so many story times. But anyway, I didn't want to be the jealous one in the relationship, the insecure one, blah blah blah. I didn't want to go there, so I held it in. I was getting very close to my limit until, one day, magically, she gets a boyfriend. Magically, she finds herself a man. No, you don't understand. It was the best day of my life. You can't imagine the joy I felt. To me, it was incredible that it was actually happening, that this clingy girl now had a boyfriend. Let's not call her clingy anymore, let's call her Tatiana. Girls, we'll call her Tati. The only tiny issue is that I ended up meeting her boyfriend, and girls, he looks just like my boyfriend. Like, it's really weird. If I told you they were brothers, you'd believe me. They look so similar. So all the happiness, well, she was still a Tatiana, yes. But we saw her less. And most times when we got together with her, she came with her boyfriend. So she stopped being so clingy with my boyfriend, at least. She touched him less, acted less flirty, because now she had her own boyfriend. And well, she finally understood her place. Girls, she got it. Honestly, the feeling I had was pure relief. Everything was going great until my incredibly intelligent boyfriend suddenly comes up with the idea, hey, wouldn't it be amazing to do a couple's trip to Europe? At first, I honestly thought he was referring to a trip for just the two of us. How romantic, how sweet. I loved the idea. But no, guys, he was clearly talking about a couple's trip. Like, all four of us going to Europe. Can you imagine that disaster? And I said, love, it sounds amazing to go to Europe with you, and your twin, and a woman who hates me and is clearly in love with you. Awesome plan. But you know what? I'll pass this time. No way. He begged and begged and begged, non-stop. Begged me saying, please, please, please. He was super excited about the idea, blah blah. He begged so much that I finally said, fine. For the man. I'll do it all for the man. And I gave in, like the weakling I am. The trip was getting closer, so I started asking everyone, hey, what do you want to do? Where would you like to stay? What type of hotel? What do you want to visit? Any plans you'd love to include? They all said, no, you plan it. We'll adapt. We trust your decisions. Whatever you like. And I was like, I've never been to Europe. Are you trusting me because you really believe in me, or just because you don't want to do any of the work? But hey, if you want me to plan everything and you're okay with that, then I'll choose everything I love. I'll go to all the places I've always wanted to go. So I started organizing everything. I spent a lot of time making reservations, checking out hotels, looking for things to do. I booked hotels, flights, specific restaurants. You know when you say, I want to go to this exact place. Some of the reservations were hard to get, very exclusive. Shows, excursions. I had the itinerary of a dream European trip. When I finally finished planning this beautiful Euro trip, I sent it to them. And to my surprise, they loved it. Thought it was incredible, amazing. They congratulated me, said I was the best, etc. I thought I'd have to negotiate some things, or that we'd fight about something, but no. Nothing happened. And I was like, wow, how cool. I should have seen it coming. I shouldn't have let myself get excited about this trip. I don't know why I did. At what point did I even get excited? I thought, maybe this could be great. Then, 1 week before the trip, my boyfriend comes to my house and says, "Anna, I need to talk to you." Honestly, guys, I thought he was going to break up with me. I really did. Because he said it in such a serious tone, "We need to talk." So we sit down. And he tells me that Tatiana broke up with her boyfriend. Just like that. Tatiana is single again, devastated, crying, needing comfort. That's how it started. Then he says she doesn't feel comfortable going on the trip with the three of us, like, she doesn't want to be the third wheel between us two. Like she feels awkward, like a fifth wheel. Well, honestly, I felt a little guilty for how happy I was inside. Like, oh no, poor Tati, poor Tatiana, breakups are the worst. So sad. But I said, don't worry, she'll probably get a partial refund on the flight. Not all of it, but not a total loss either. And he looks at me and says, "No, I don't think you understand. I think she really needs me right now. She's feeling terrible, she needs support. And I think it would do her good to go on the trip anyway, but instead of the three of us, just the two of us. And you could stay behind." I laughed so hard. The situation was ridiculous. I told him, "You're not going on a European trip I planned with another woman. You're not going. Sorry, but you're insane." He said, "But we're just friends," and I asked, "Does she know you're just friends?" Because listen, I wouldn't go on a romantic trip to Europe with a guy who isn't my boyfriend. Does she know that? Does Tati understand that in her head? He said, "Come on, don't you realize she doesn't have any girlfriends here?" And I replied, "Gee, I wonder why that is." Think about it for a second. We had a huge fight. I don't even need to give you the details. We argued a lot until finally, he said, "Look, I can't keep fighting with you like this. She really needs me. I have to go." And he left. Guys, he left. The moment he walked out the door, I realized this relationship was completely over. What wasn't over was my trip to Europe. That, for sure, wasn't ending. My boyfriend offered to pay the cancellation fee for my flight, so I could cancel it. And I said, "No thanks, sweetheart. Don't worry, it's not necessary." Of course I wasn't going to cancel my flight. I just changed the time and scheduled it for a little later than theirs. Luckily, my best friend is way more loyal than that guy. So I called her and said, "Girl, I need you to take all of next week off work because you're coming to Europe with me." Then I called every place I had booked and told them, "Hey, I have all these reservations under my name. Please don't let anyone use them unless they show my ID. Please, check my document when I arrive. Don't give my space to anyone else." So when they tried to check into the hotel, they couldn't. When they tried to go to the restaurants, they couldn't. When they tried to see a show, nope. But you know who could? Me. With my best friend. On the best trip we've ever taken so far. What I didn't know yet was the level of betrayal that was coming. 2 days before the flight, I was relaxed, organizing the final details with my friend. We checked passports, suitcases, documents, everything in order. We'd already decided not to talk about the ex-boyfriend anymore. Let him go on the trip I planned from start to finish with his little friend, and let them roll around in cheap wine and guilt. Fine by me. But that night, before bed, I made the mistake of opening Instagram. I just wanted to scroll a bit. And there it was, a photo on the plane. Her sitting next to him, with one of those smiles women have when they think they've won something. Him next to her, staring forward, relaxed. The caption read, "I love you. Thanks for everything. Even when the whole world turns its back on me, you're always there. Our dream is just beginning." I froze. My heart started racing. My hands were shaking. I read that phrase like 4 times. Looked at the picture again. It was him, my boyfriend. On the plane, next to her. Her hand on top of his. For a second, I thought maybe it was an old photo. Maybe she was forcing it. But no, the seatbacks, the post time, the airplane model, it all matched. They were in my seat, on the flight I had booked, in the place I had reserved. And he looked so comfortable. I turned off the phone, walked to the kitchen, drank a glass of water. Went back to the room, sat on the bed. My friend looked at me and asked what happened. I showed her the photo. She said nothing for a few seconds. Then she looked at me and said, "We're going to go. And we're going to make this trip unforgettable, but not because of them." The next day we flew out. Our flight was a few hours after theirs. But this time, it was different. This time, I carried rage, disgust, contempt. Every minute on that plane, I pictured his face, smiling next to hers, as if nothing had happened. As if I didn't exist. As if I hadn't spent countless nights planning every single detail of that trip. Like I was a fool. We landed in Europe, and the first thing I did was activate Anna mode, calculating and calm. I called every hotel, restaurant, and tour to reconfirm that no reservation would be valid without me and my ID. I'd already warned them, but I made sure to repeat it. The next morning, my phone started ringing. It was him. I took a deep breath, answered on speaker. My friend next to me, calmly eating breakfast, listening to everything. "Hey Anna," he said in that quiet, half-guilty tone. "Listen, we're at the hotel, and there was a problem with the check-in." I faked surprise. "Really?" "Yeah, they say the reservation is locked. That only you can unlock it because it's under your name." "Of course. I made it." "I know, but can't you just call and tell them to let us in? That's all we need, just the room." I swallowed hard. It was tough not to laugh. "All right, I'll take care of it." "Really? Thanks. It's just a quick call. We're here with the luggage." Yeah, don't worry. I'll handle it." I hung up. My friend looked at me. "Are you going to unlock the room?" "Yes, I'm going to unlock it, but I'll do it my way." We called a cab and went straight to the hotel. I arrived with my ID in hand, calm and spotless. I walked up to the front desk. "Hi, I'm Anna, the holder of reservation 204. I came in person to authorize the check-in, but I want to do it in front of them." The receptionist looked at me a bit puzzled. "Of course. Let us know when you're ready." I turned, there they were, sitting in the lobby. Tatiana with her arms crossed, wearing a sour expression. Him, head down, unable to look at me. When Tatiana saw me, her face twisted in disgust, like she was being forced to swallow her pride. I walked over, smiled. "Were you waiting for someone?" "Well, you can go up now. I just unlocked your room." He tried to force a smile. "Thanks, Anna. You didn't need to come, a call would have been enough." "I know, but I thought it was better to do it in person. I don't like hiding." She didn't say a word, but the way she looked at me, it was pure hatred. The kind that's born when you realize you didn't get to humiliate someone, but instead exposed yourself. They got up, went to the front desk. I turned with my friend beside me, and we walked out slowly. No regrets, no looking back. And as we left the hotel, the only thought in my mind was, this is just beginning. He had no idea who he was messing with. When we stepped out of the lobby, my friend looked at me and said, "Do you really think they'll find peace in that room? Because if you say the word, I'm ready to make their lives hell." And in that moment, I didn't hesitate. I didn't feel guilt. I didn't feel pity. Everything they tried to do to me, I was going to return with interest, with late fees, and with a smile on my face. We returned to the front desk, wearing the same calm expressions. I told the receptionist, "Oh, by the way, the reservation is for 4 people. We're going up right now." He looked uncomfortable but nodded. I showed him the reservation slip where the number of guests was clearly listed. Of course, they hadn't read anything. They thought they could steal my trip, my room, and my dignity. Poor fools. We went up with our suitcases, and when the door to the room opened, Tatiana's face was simply priceless. She was sitting at the edge of the bed, taking off her shoes like she was queen of the place. When she saw us walk in, she blurted out, "What is this?" And I, calm as ever, said, "We're staying here. The reservation is mine. The room is for 4. And I'm not sharing a bed with anyone, so you know what that means." My friend dropped her backpack on the armchair, smiled, and headed straight to the other bed to unpack. Tatiana looked at him, waiting for him to say something, but he didn't. He just lowered his gaze like a coward. The first night, we behaved ourselves. Took showers, organized our stuff, laughed quietly, didn't provoke. But that was just to make them think it would be bearable. Because from the second night on, hell began. My friend, who's an expert in spotting weaknesses, found a second suitcase Tatiana had hidden in the closet. Full of expensive, branded clothes. Clearly, she had picked out those outfits to show off in Paris. And guess what? We waited until they went out, then we started. We didn't destroy everything. We did something better, selective damage. We cut a silk blouse right under the arm. Sliced the back of a designer dress. Tore the zipper off a pair of pants. Just little things she wouldn't notice until she went to wear them. Then we folded everything back neatly, as if nothing had happened. But we didn't stop there. My friend convinced a hotel staff member that we needed a small box of cotton swabs for a university project. Inside, we placed 2 small white mice we bought at a pet store. Left them with some food, opened up space in her handbag, and left them there quietly, asleep, waiting for their moment. The next day, Tatiana was thrilled. It was the day she wanted to wear her blue designer dress. She locked herself in the bathroom for more than an hour, came out all dolled up, looking like, "I'm a goddess." But all it took was one spin in front of the mirror for everything to fall apart. "What is this?" she screamed. The dress had a slit in the back that clearly revealed her underwear. She tried to adjust it, kept checking herself in the mirror. My friend coughed loudly to keep from laughing. I simply commented, "Maybe it came defective?" Or someone tried it on, returned it cut. She stared at me with pure hatred, but she couldn't say anything. Was she going to accuse me of going through her suitcase in a room that wasn't even hers? Later came the big moment. She was looking for something in her purse, tossing things around, annoyed, and suddenly, a scream. A real scream, straight out of a horror movie. "There's a mouse. There's a mouse in my bag." She jumped onto the bed like she'd been electrocuted, threw the purse to the floor, started screaming, crying, swearing. The 2 little mice ran out, one darted under the bed, the other wandered over the carpet. She was sobbing, covering her face. He tried to catch them with a towel. And I sat on the bed, recording it all on my phone. "But they're so cute," I said. "Are you sure they didn't come in your bag?" My friend, pretending to be shocked, "Maybe they sneaked into your purse on the plane, Tati?" Tatiana locked herself in the bathroom for more than 40 minutes. When she came out, she wasn't the same. She was rattled, eyes swollen, skin pale. She didn't speak, just looked at us like she wanted to kill us. That night, they didn't sleep. We did, like babies. And that was only the beginning. Because the real revenge, the one that would hurt them for a long time, the one they truly deserved, that was still cooking. Every minute spent in that room was going to be torment. And him? He was just there to watch, because all he knew how to do was lower his head. And me? I was just getting started. We laughed like our hearts had never been broken. Like nothing before had ever mattered. Like Paris was our personal redemption. And in a way, it was. After everything we endured. After seeing Tatiana's pale face because of the mice. After watching my ex humiliated, not knowing what to do or say. All that was left to do was live. And we did, big time. The next day, we went out early, dressed like 2 goddesses. Perfumed, sunglasses on, guilt-free. We decided that this trip, which had originally been an emotional disaster, was going to become the best experience of our lives. And that's exactly what it became. We started with lunch by the Seine, ordered expensive wine just because, and toasted to ourselves. We strolled through Montmartre, took photos with street artists, bought ridiculous Eiffel Tower keychains, and even let a guy draw a terrible portrait of us for €10. Paris was ours. And absolutely no one was going to ruin it. That night, we went out. Put on our best dresses, did our makeup like we were receiving awards, and headed to a club in Le Marais. Lights, music, an international vibe, and French men. Handsome, tall, charming, with accents that made even the dumbest phrase sound poetic. We met two charming guys. Danced, drank, laughed. One of them whispered something in my ear. I didn't understand it, but it sounded sexy, so I didn't care. We left at 3 a.m, walking through the empty streets of Paris, eating crepes and laughing like teenagers. Meanwhile, them? No clue. And we didn't care. Although the truth? We knew they weren't having a good time. It was obvious. You could see it on their faces every time we ran into them at the hotel. My ex couldn't pay for anything. I had planned the entire trip. He'd said he'd reimburse me later. That later never came. And Tatiana? She depended on him. Couldn't even afford a coffee. Then something happened that pushed me over the edge. It was our second to last day in Paris. I was counting the cash I had left to buy a gift for my dad. I opened my wallet and noticed that 200 euros were missing. I searched everything, backpack, pockets, toiletry bag. Nothing. My blood ran cold. And suddenly, it all made sense. Tatiana. She who had no money. She who suddenly had a new purse. She who snuck out with my ex. She had stolen from me, I was sure of it. My friend looked at me in silence. Do you want to confront her? No, I said. We'll do something better. The next morning, they showered to get ready to go out. First her, then him. And while they took turns in the bathroom, we executed the plan we had silently crafted all night. We knew exactly where they kept their passports. They were in his suitcase, hidden among underwear. We took them, left the room with the excuse of going shopping, and walked along the side street by the hotel. We searched for a few minutes until we found it, a storm drain. A rusty old grate with a loose lid. We lifted it slightly, peeked in, and without thinking twice, dropped both passports to the bottom. Plop. Plop. My friend looked at me, smiling. Don't you think someone might find them one day? Maybe there are rats down there that collect things and take them to the bottom of the hotel's sewers. Maybe those passports already have a new owner. We returned to the hotel, had coffee, finished packing, and called an Uber to the airport. Calm. At peace. I swapped out the SIM card in my phone before getting in the car. He'd never be able to reach me again. I blocked him everywhere. Later, my friend showed me the messages he sent her. Where are our passports? We can't leave the country. Tatiana is crying. We have nowhere to stay. And the last one, received at 3:07 a.m. We're sleeping on the street. After that, silence. I went home. Took a long shower. Poured myself a glass of wine. Laid down on my bed with the window open. And I didn't think about them for one more second. Because life goes on. Because those who betray you don't deserve redemption. And because, at the end of the day, karma takes time with some things, but others, like 2 passports thrown into a Paris sewer, arrive right on time.